Once upon a time, in the heart of a vast and arid desert, there bloomed a proud rose. Its vibrant red petals shone brilliantly under the glaring sun, and its elegant stem stood tall against the dry, cracked earth. The rose was undeniably beautiful, and it knew it. Every passing creature that saw the rose marveled at its splendor, and the rose relished in their admiration. Nearby, however, stood a humble cactus. It was stout and covered in sharp spikes, with no flowers to display. The cactus was quietly content with its life, providing shelter for small creatures, and storing water for times of need. The rose would often look at the cactus with disdain, thinking it ugly and unsightly. The cactus never responded to the rose's silent criticism. It simply continued to stand strong against the desert winds and heat, doing what it could to help the creatures that relied on it. As days turned into weeks, the desert grew hotter than ever before. The sun beat down mercilessly, causing even the hardiest of desert creatures to seek shelter. The drought was relentless, and the desert landscape became even more barren. The rose began to suffer under these harsh conditions. Its once vibrant petals started to fade, losing their color and luster. Its stem began to droop, and even its roots felt weak, as they struggled to find moisture. Meanwhile, the cactus remained strong. Thanks to its ability to store water in its thick stems, it was able to survive even during this unforgiving drought. Birds and small animals sought refuge with the cactus. The rose watched this with amazement and growing envy. It began to realize that perhaps there was more to life than just looking pretty. The rose grew weaker, its petals falling off, leaving it bare and vulnerable. Finally, the rose could no longer ignore its desperation. Swallowing its pride, it spoke to the cactus for the first time, humbly asking for water. The cactus turned toward the wilting rose with compassion. Of course, the cactus replied gently. We all have our purpose in this world, and sometimes it takes difficult times to help us discover what that purpose is. Let me help you. With that, the cactus allowed some of its stored water to trickle down to where the rose's roots could reach it. Slowly but surely, the rose began to recover, regaining its color and strength. From that day forward, the rose never looked down on anyone again. It learned that true worth is not measured by outward appearance, but by inner strength and kindness. A bond formed between the rose and the cactus. As seasons changed and years passed, other plants grew nearby, inspired by their unity, creating a small oasis in an otherwise barren landscape. Creatures flocked there for shelter and sustenance. The rose, though no longer as outwardly beautiful, had grown in ways it never imagined. It learned to appreciate the beauty in others and in the world around it, blooming with kindness and wisdom. The cactus, too, had changed. Through its friendship with the rose, it had learned to appreciate its own unique qualities more. Together, they taught others about inner beauty, resilience, and compassion. The story of the proud rose and humble cactus spread far beyond their desert home, becoming a legend that taught generations about humility, compassion, and the true meaning of beauty.